Hi, welcome. Today we're going to be making eggs using alcohol inks. And the process that I use gives them a very sort of deep, rich, marbled or stone look rather than a very vibrant tie-dye look. I like to use the white plastic eggs from Hobby Lobby. The inks are transparent, as you probably know, and if you use a dark background or even a pastel background, it will come through the ink color. So a light pink egg, if you put blue ink on it, you're not going to see that bright blue. It's going to be affected by the pink coming through. So I like to use the white eggs. They're about $1 for a dozen. We're also going to use an applicator tool. You can buy these or you can make your own. All you need are two components. You need something to hold on to, the handle. So I've used a spool from a spool of thread. I've used champagne corks, anything that you can hold on to, and you can attach the hook side of Velcro to the end of it. I usually staple gun it on because adhesives will sort of fall apart after enough isopropyl alcohol is applied. So something to hold on to, hook end of Velcro, and then we're going to be using white craft felt. Just put that right on there. And you can buy this in pre-cut sheets as well with the holder. So it's all together at Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby. It's the Tim Holtz Ranger brand. Or make your own applicator, and then you can just get a sheet of 35-cent craft felt and cut it into rectangles that will fit your applicator pad. Either one is going to work just as fine. And then we'll need a couple different colors of alcohol ink, doesn't matter what brand it is, and maybe a little bit of blending solution, and of course gloves for your hands to keep your hands clean. So let's get started. Okay, so we have our white plastic egg. Make sure it's put together very well, and what we're going to do is just use a little bit of alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, to clean off the outside of the egg, just to make sure there's no oils. Get that nice and clean. That will evaporate very, very quickly. And then we turn our attention to our applicator tool. And I'm just going to apply the inks. I don't usually drip like this. What I'll do is actually put the nozzle end there and I squeeze until I get a really nice blob about the size of a dime. And then put the other color right next to it. Same thing, squeeze. I usually start with two colors. Today I might just add in a little bit of a third, little accent color. So if you have your ink on there, then one tip is a lot of people will tend to hold this by North Pole and South Pole, and I find it's much better if you hold just one end of the egg. Doesn't matter which one. But make sure it's put together well, and don't squeeze too hard, because if you squeeze hard, they can pop apart. And then all you're going to do is tap and rock that felt that has a lot of ink on it. Look at that, how it spreads. Awesome. All over the top. Don't go over the same area too many times. We want to just sort of keep it clean. And then once you have the top or one side of the egg painted, you put your tool down, leave it alone. We have to let this dry. So you can blow on it. That will speed up the evaporation of the alcohol and make it dry a little quicker. Sometimes it's hard to tell, is it dry, because it's so shiny. Well, you can just test it by using your pinky and just touch your egg. Now mine did pull up a little bit of ink on my glove, so it is not dry. So we just need to let that dry. And drying time again in alcohol inks is 30 seconds, 45 seconds. We don't have to wait minutes. But we do want to make sure that it's very dry so that when we touch it and hold on to the other end, we don't start transferring lots of ink to our gloves. So this, you can sort of see that orange, which I only put a small amount on my pad right here, really showed up, whereas the two that I put a lot of ink, they are lighter colors. They aren't as bright, but I'm sort of liking this. But don't get too attached to this design because it's not going to look like that at the end. So I'm going to just test. All right, it's now dry. So I can hold this end and just, I don't have to put any more ink on. I can just go back and cover this side. And don't worry about the design. We're not making a specific design. We're just trying to get all the white covered. That's pretty much it. Say, put that applicator tool down. It's so tempting to just keep going because it's so fun. Don't. Just put it down, step away from the applicator tool. I even have some white spots still on here. Doesn't matter. We're just getting that first coating of ink onto the egg. So depending on what colors you used, it is very blendy. That's because this is very wet. So the inks are going to blend. And it's almost like sort of a tie-dye look. And if you like this look, you can just keep it like that. I'm going to show you some techniques to get some veining where it looks a little bit more like marble or stone. It gives it a little more richer look instead of a very playful tie-dye look. So now this bottom part is dry. You can just again test it with your gloved hand. And now I'm going to take the same pad with the same ink on it. I'm not adding any more ink. And I'm going to actually buff off in a circular motion. I'm really pushing hard to get down to the white, and then I'm going to push out and look at the dark sort of veining lines that are created by pushing that ink away from the center. You're looking for lighter areas in the center with that darker ridge around it. And then I'm going to just do a couple of these in different spots on the egg. And it's actually that pushing out from the center that really gives you those dark, dark lines. So here's one, here's one. I'm just going to keep turning the egg, making sure I don't touch anything that's still wet or tacky. I'm going to do another one over here. I call this the ugly step or the ugly phase of the project. Most of my projects are there's very distinct steps that you take to get the final result. So a lot of people, after they get that first initial ink on there, they don't want to do this. They don't want to wreck it. But really, it won't wreck it. We're creating the richness and sort of the veining. And I bump them up close to each other, but they don't have to overlap. I'll do another one down here. They don't have to be circular. They can be oblong. Again, we're not trying to create this part. We're just trying to create some dark lines that will look more like veining. Push it out from the center. And then now some of my colors are meshing together and they're making sort of this brownish color. That's fine. Gives it richness. Do one more down here. All right. So here you see one, here's one, a big one, here's a smaller one. Again, doesn't matter that they're the same size, shape, that they're all white in the center or not, because we're going to go back over the center. So I put the egg down and now I'm going to look at my pad. I can still see where my colors were. I'm just going to put a little bit more of each of those colors right where they were the first time. And then I'm actually going to just like tap a little bit off so it's not quite so wet. And now I'm going to go back over especially the center parts where I had wiped so much away. But I can overlap between those two sort of sections. And I'm doing it much lighter touch this time. The first time I was really sort of stamping it out. This is just a little bit lighter touch. And you can see I'm getting some of that pop of color back, so we don't have areas where it looks like it's been rubbed off. Yet we're keeping those dark lines. If you're interested, let's see what these colors are. I am using Stonewashed in the Ranger brand. That's Stonewashed Blue. Citrus from the Ranger brand. And Tangerine, which is from the Pinata brand. So it's a light blue, a light green, and an orange. All right. All right. So I do have to put that down and wait for that side now to dry. Every time you put new layers of ink on, then it is going to take a little longer to dry, especially the raised areas, because that's where ink has pushed against each other and raised up. It's thicker and it's going to stay tackier longer. I really do like the definition and the different colors I have on here, but I think I do want to add, I really like the blue with these, but I want to add a little bit darker blue. So I am just going to grab, this is also a light blue, but it's sailboat blue. It's a brighter blue. And I'm going to see if that will show up a little bit more than, I'll just put it on the same area where I had my other blue. And then maybe even a little bit more tangerine too. Now when I hit it, oh yeah, that blue shows up much better. And I'm just, again, really lightly. Plus I can look where the ink color is on my pad and very purposefully put, you know, blue is here, so I can put some blue dots there. My green's over here, so if I need some green, instead of just randomly tapping it, I'm just more thoughtful about what color I'm putting where. And so as you can see on this white plastic, the colors just blend beautifully, and you get the full vibrancy because you're on a white background. They just pop. So for your beginning colors, if you're doing this, I picked 3 very different. I would not do 2 super light colors like a yellow and an orange, because when you put them on there, you're not going to see enough of a difference. I wouldn't do only like 2, like a blue and a blue, a light and a dark blue, not enough difference. Or any 2 dark colors like a dark purple and a dark teal are also just going to, they're too close together, and they're also very dark. Now, if you do add more colors and it does get a little bit dark, it might be because you're not letting the layers dry in between, or it just could be the colors that you used. And if you need to lighten it up a bit, you can take this alcohol blending solution and put some on your pad. You can see it actually really lightens because it actually lightened whatever's on my pad right there. Now if I hit this, it's going to spread and blend and lighten wherever you hit it. So that's sort of magical. All right, I am starting to pick up some of the ink because I'm touching it before it's all the way dry, just for demonstration purposes, so you don't have to sit around and wait with me. But as you can see, the lighter the touch, the more little speckles and detail work you can keep. You can also hit it and blow on it quick. And I sort of like the combination of the dark lines, some larger blended areas, and then some more lighter texture. And you'll keep getting light texture if you keep letting your felt dry out a little bit. In fact, you could put it down for a couple minutes and put your egg down for a couple minutes. And actually I'll come back and show you. I'll wait just like a minute or two for this to dry out a little bit more and show you the different textures that you can get. Okay, so this has been given a minute or two to dry out a little bit more. And actually right here is similar to what was the surface of my egg before. If I just really lightly, like barely touch it, you can see these tiny, tiny little bubbles poke out. And they'll stay tiny little bubbles because you're working with a drier pad on dry ink. They don't blend out as much, and so you can get some really like beautiful textures just by letting this dry out a little bit, letting your surface dry out a little bit. So let's see on our egg if we can do that too. Here I'm keeping these little tiny sort of aqua. And again, you don't have to do the same thing over the entire egg. You know, it's interesting, like when one area has a lot of texture, and then maybe one area leave it alone, leave it blended. But this is just like another added dimension on here. This isn't a true Easter egg color, I guess, for an egg, but it's more natural. I think it's beautiful. So there's my finished egg. And so this is the final egg, a really rich sort of marbled look. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do a lot of live workshops. I don't have a lot of time to do videos, but it is something that over the next couple months I plan to do a lot more of. And I want to do some tutorials on metal, jewelry tutorials. So if you're interested in seeing those once they're uploaded, please subscribe and you will be notified. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.